Hey, if you want to discover the secret to providing more value, making more of an impact, and ultimately having a bunch of happy customers, stick around and watch today's video through until the very end, as I'm about to share with you the two key things that a business absolutely has to do in order to grow, generate customers, and ultimately have happy customers that purchase more and more and more in the future. With that said, if this is your first video, my name is Misha Wilson, and over the course of the last few years, I've now done over $25 million in total sales online, and I've done some things right, I've done some things very wrong, and in today's episode, I'm gonna share with you one of the things that I did very wrong, and ultimately the solution to going ahead and solving that problem, which has allowed us to ultimately turn that problem around. As always, if you get value, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and let me know what your biggest takeaway is in the comments section below. With that said, let's go ahead and dive right in.
Welcome to the Misha Wilson Show, where we show you how to create massive success online so you can enjoy the lifestyle of your wildest dreams.
All right, so what we're gonna be talking about here today is really how to create satisfaction within your actual customer base once you get to a point that you are generating customers so that ultimately those customers will buy over and over and over again. If you've been tuning into my marketing for any period of time or listening to my content, you know one of the things that I preach on, one of the things that I learned from Dan Kennedy way back when I was first getting started, is that your customer base, your customer list, your herd is your single most valuable asset, and ultimately the biggest, number one thing that you need to take care of and nurture within your business. All right, and really what we're talking about here is how to take that customer base, create response within that customer base, and ultimately create a good experience that brings that customer base to the conclusion that they like you, they want to stick around, and ultimately want to buy more from you in the future. All right, before we dive into exactly how you do that, I want to touch on kind of a story that shows you the wrong thing to do. All right, so when we were first getting our business off the ground back in 2017, I believe, we grew very quickly. When I launched my own brand, we grew very quickly. We had some really good affiliates come on board. We had our own internal media buys going at the exact same time. So we were generating a bunch of customers, affiliates were generating a bunch of customers, and ultimately we grew too quickly for our actual infrastructure. And our products always had great quality, right? Our masterminds that we've hosted in our workshops always had great quality. And the actual end result thing that we delivered always had great quality, but all of our systems that made sure that those things got delivered and made sure that our customers were aware of those things and made sure that our customers consume those things were not necessarily set up the right way perfectly from day number one, if I'm being completely honest. And what this led to is at the very beginning of my marketing journey, I would create a product, I'd create a mastermind as an example, or a workshop, and we would go out, we'd market it, that's what we knew how to do. We would market it very effectively, we would sell a bunch of seats to that actual mastermind, and then from there we'd tell people, all right, this is where the mastermind is, this is how you get there, I'll see you then, right? And that was essentially the, whole communication with the customer. They would buy the mastermind, all right, here's where it is, here's when it is, be there or be square. And what I found very quickly is with our first mastermind, we sold about 50 seats and we hosted the mastermind. I set the entire room up for 50 people and we only had about 25 people get to the actual mastermind. All right, now take into account, this is a high ticket $10,000 workshop and event that people paid for and people paid to attend, yet we only had a 50% attendance rate at the actual mastermind. Now at the mastermind and at the workshop, yes, we went above and beyond in going ahead and providing as much value as humanly possible, which I believe in and I believe should be one of your core principles in your business. Yet at the same time, obviously for those 25 people, the 50% of people who didn't come, they didn't get value, they didn't receive value in that context, and therefore they felt dissatisfied. All right, now look, as a business owner, you can then say, all right, it's not my fault they didn't come, or, God, they should come, they invested, etc. You can look at all the reasons outside of yourself for excuses as to why it's not necessarily your fault, and there might even be some truth, right? Someone pays for a mastermind, it is then on them to show up. At the exact same time, you have to understand that if you have too many unhappy customers, if you have too many customers that don't perceive the value of your products, if you have too many customers that ultimately end up unhappy, no matter whose fault it is, no matter who is to blame in the equation of why or why not they got value or not, ultimately your butt is going to be on the line. All right. And so what you have to understand is that as a business owner, it is always your fault. And that's one of the keys of leadership. As a business owner, as a leader in your business, it is always your fault. All right. No matter what the situation, you either messed up yourself or you hired someone that messed up. So it's your fault, or you hired someone who messed up. So ultimately it circles back to you and it stops at you. You need to take responsibility. And so ultimately the lesson here is that within a business, the two things that you want to focus on is firstly, creating value, secondly, delivering value, and a third kind of bonus, delivering value in a way where your customer is sure to perceive the actual value. All right. So as an example, with our overall setup, way back when they would buy the mastermind, they would then not really have any correspondence with us until the actual mastermind. If they didn't come to the mastermind, they would miss out. Right? What we then changed is we had the value, right? We created the value in the actual mastermind itself. We delivered the value, of course, at the mastermind, but the people who didn't come to the mastermind did not perceive the value, did not consume the value, so ultimately they felt dissatisfied. So the solution for us was we added in intense follow-up after someone purchased, pushing them to come to the mastermind. And then we also added in a bunch of various coaching calls leading up to the mastermind and after the mastermind. So if someone couldn't come to the workshop, couldn't come to the mastermind, couldn't come to the thing in person, they could still get value out of the actual coaching calls, and they could still get value in an ongoing fashion after the mastermind from the coaching calls that would continue to go. And what's nice is that this actually allowed us, adding in the extra coaching calls, adding in the extra value, we were able to increase our prices based on the fact that we are now providing more value over the course of a longer period of time. And we were able to have our customers perceive and feel the value more and more and more and more in their own personal journey. And therefore, we've been able to sell higher ticket packages, have a bunch of students purchase our mentorship programs for much more than $10,000, and have an outstanding net promoter score, which just comes down to having high customer satisfaction. All right, but it's only because we focused on, once again, having value that we created and making sure that value was delivered. And we made sure that value was delivered in a way that the customer perceived it. So remember, value created, not delivered is not value. Value delivered, not perceived is not value. Make sure you set up your programs, make sure you set up your offers, and make sure you set up everything within your business so that ultimately you deliver value, the customer gets the value, the customer perceives the value, the customer feels the value, and therefore has a happy experience, and therefore wants to come back and purchase over and over and over again. With that said, I hope you got a ton of value out of today's video. If you did, don't forget to let me know in the comments section below what your biggest takeaway was. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that bell icon notification button so that you get notified when I do more videos just like this.